Welcome to the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. For group exercise junkies and enthusiastic classgoers, we'll explore and uncover authentic, thought-provoking, and heartwarming industry education and inspiration from entertaining, badass fitness pros. And now your host, creator of Warrior Rhythm, Warrior Strength, Warrior Combat, Warrior Revolution, and Warrior Kids Group fitness brands, Ellen DeWord. Here we grow. Welcome to the show, everybody. This is episode 60. Oh, it's episode 60, and I am going to talk about something highly subjective, and I'm going to give my strong opinions, and it's my show. I can do what I want. I can do what I want, and so I'm going to give my opinion. This is social media. Okay, I'm going to it's going to be like the don't you do it. That's the name of the episode. You have to say it like, you have to read it like that. Don't you do it. Social media don'ts. I also want to follow this up. I don't know if it'll be episode 61 or episode 161, but I also want to follow it up at some point with things I think you should do. But today is don't you do it. Again, my opinion. And I really think at the end of the day, if you're being authentic and kind on social media, you're doing it right. But here are some things that I think as a fitness professional, and you know what? This episode is really going to bleed out into lots of other things. Like you could apply this to yourself and your life and your profession, even if you are not a fitness professional. But as a fitness professional, I think these are important things. And I have to say that I think most of the people I follow online are in fitness. You know what I mean? Like it's mostly instructors. In fact, do you want to know something? When I get a friend request on Instagram, if I don't know you and I see a request from you, I click on you and I look at your page. And if you look like you teach group fitness classes, I follow you back. Just so you know. And if you don't, so you're just a random stranger and you follow me and I look at your page, and you don't teach group fitness, it doesn't look like you teach fitness, I don't follow you back. Is that bad? It's just that, I want to follow people that I have something, like my whole Instagram persona really is about group fitness, So, okay. So let's talk about things that group fitness professionals should avoid doing online. And this is in no particular order. The first one on my list, these are mostly this is basically a big list of pet peeves. I do not like when I see someone on Instagram or Facebook storying while they are driving their car. I think it is so tacky, and I think it makes you look bad. I think it makes you look reckless and dangerous. What if you hit someone? What if you got in an accident and killed someone? What if you hit an animal or a child while driving and trying to story? Every time I see someone doing that, I think, what if they hit someone? What are they doing? Like, why are they blatantly breaking the law right now? Like, we're not allowed to drive and operate our cell phones. Why would you be driving and storying? And yet, I see fitness professionals do it all the time. So, okay, if that's you, little check-in, stop doing that. Just park the car. Like, park the car. If you want a story in your car, park the car. Do it when you get there or before you leave or in your driveway. Please, for the love of God, don't do it. Next. I don't know if this rises to the level of a strong pet peeve, but people, look at the camera hole on your phone, the camera, the little black circle where the camera lens is looking at you, look at that when you're storing. If you're giving a message, if you're inviting people to your class, if you're talking about tips for how to do a deadlift or whatever, and you're talking face to camera, look at the camera hole and make sure the camera is clean. Make sure the camera's clean. It should be clear looking. If the image is not clear looking, it's because your camera's dirty. So look at the camera hole and make sure that camera hole is clean. I'm doing it right now on Zoom as a podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, this is me looking at the camera hole. It's not intuitive. Most people want to look at themselves while they story or talk, and it comes across as less connecting to the audience. It's less affecting, okay? It's less effective as well. All right, now, this drives me bonkers. It drives me bonkers when people are passive aggressive in their Instagram stories or on anything social or in their posts. Here, let's let Fig out. Come with me. Let's let the puppy out. She's crying a little bit. Come on, big Fig. Here you go. There you go. Okay. Passive aggressive talk is a big no. So if it's just passive aggressiveness is so yucky in life. Like it's just it's tacky. And sometimes I see it. And it's like really discrediting. It's like really discrediting. So think about that. Like if you're upset with anyone ever, like just keep it off of social media. Like the passive aggressive, trying to give someone a message indirectly, hoping they see it, throwing some shade is so yucky. I heard an instructor once talking crap about another instructor, how they didn't save enough time for them transitioning between classes. You know how like if classes are like back to back or kind of back to back and you want some transition time, you know how you want the instructor before you to be respectful and get out of there so you can set up on time and all that stuff. But like the way to handle it if they're not like that is to have an adult mature conversation with them and ask them to please allow you a little bit more time, not to be passive aggressive after you get done teaching on your social media stories. Because you know what that did? That made that instructor look bad, not the one who probably was dragging her feet getting out of the room. It made the one talking about it look bad. So no passive aggressiveness. No, none of that. Don't do it. All right, let's keep going. I want to be sensitive in the way I say this next point. I do want to be sensitive. But I think that this is a social media don't that has some gray area maybe around it a little bit. And that is that I would be careful. I advise you to be careful not to create an identity out of an illness or something that you suffer with. And that is not to invalidate your suffering or to discredit the trauma that it might be or the affliction that it might be in your life. But I think as a fitness professional that wants to grow their fitness business, grow their fitness community, wants to be a positive, shining, bright light in the community, I think we need to be careful not to wrap our identity around an illness. And I say wrap our identity around, and I mean that. Like, I think it is part of who you are, and it might be something that you can share and actually can give people hope who might share the same affliction. So I'm not saying that I think that everything needs to be like a bowl of cherries and rose-colored lenses, 24/7 butterflies and rainbows, like some Pollyannish view of the world coming from your account. I don't mean that, but I just would caution that you wrap your identity and your social media, your Instagram identity around an illness or a disease. It can still be something that you share and share hopefully with some hope or some, tips or advice. But I think that sometimes I see fitness professionals take that, like, this is now who I am. I am fill in the blank, Hashimoto's, or, um, you know, fill in the blank. I see it's prevalent, like where you identify as someone with the disease instead of just identifying as yourself. And then maybe that's, something in your tapestry, the backdrop. Doesn't mean you can't share about it. Doesn't mean you can't be real about it. I just am cautioning as a don't you do it, as making it who you are in the world and on your social. The next thing that is kind of a pet peeve of mine, and this is interesting, is it bugs me, and this is me, but again, it's my podcast, so I'm allowed to express my opinions here. I am not a fan of the know-it-all. And I know that we want to be really educated. We're educated, we're pros. We want to come across as confident, and we want to come across as knowledgeable and informed and highly educated and experts in our field. So I'm not suggesting that you shouldn't do that, but there's something I sometimes see, and it's like a shroud of arrogance with a lack of curiosity or humility, where all it is always posturing as the authority. If you're always posturing as the authority, let Fig in, come with me again. If you're always taking that voice as you share and post, I find it off-putting and unattractive. Again, my opinion, my podcast. I don't like it. Don't be the know-it-all. You can be the expert. Be an expert, but have some humility. Be self-deprecating sometimes. Have some curiosity. Be wrong once in a while. Admit being wrong once in a while. Admit learning something from someone else. Okay. Next, don't you do it, is forgetting to filter through the lens of other people, their backgrounds, situations. Just forgetting to filter things you say through other people's feelings. How might what you say or post come across to someone really different than yourself? I think I've talked about that in other episodes before. Filter. Someone with different feelings, different point of view, different circumstances. I think I've given you guys the example in the past of a post I saw about someone who's married to like an accountant. So like they're affluent, and they were home. The wife was home alone with the kiddos for like a week or something like that, and was like making a post that came across like complaining about how hard it is to be a single mom. And I was like, what if you were a single mom struggling, and you saw that post from this fitness professional sort of complaining about being a single mom when they're really not a single mom. They were just home alone, but they have an affluent situation, probably a nanny, and I was just thinking they could have said it really differently. They could have framed it and still talked about how hard it is to raise children. They could have even made it truly like a post about like having a small taste of what it might be like to raise children on your own. They could have been framed in a way that wasn't offensive, but was actually empathetic. But the way it was written and came across off-putting and offensive and insensitive. And it didn't need to. It just like didn't need to. So it's like taking that pause and rereading what you say outside of your own shoes. Another don't you do it is all right hooks. You know Gary Vaynerchuk, jab, 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 right hook. Brilliant book, where he talks about adding value, adding value, adding value before you ask for a sale. So basically, that's like give some great content that is valuable for people, whether that's educational or entertaining or humorous, but give before you ask. And sometimes it's easy for us. I'm probably guilty of this myself, you guys, of just being like, sign up for this training, sign up for that training, sign up for this workshop, like come to our conference, where that's like all right hook, right hook, right hook. And that can be off-putting too. And honestly, like I said, something I probably need to work on myself. This is a funny that this was on my notes to talk to you about today, because today is the day that Instagram did decide to change their aspect ratio for the tiles. So this is funny that this happened today, because my what I wanted to say to you was having a weird thumbnail. Having a weird thumbnail image that wasn't like on a reel, where you can go into your reel as you're editing it and you can select the thumbnail, and it should be kind of clickbaitish, something that they would make them want to watch it. And then you can also stretch or scrunch, you can crop, you can maneuver the thumbnail that you select to fit the frame. And I just think that's really important, that you take the extra couple seconds to find a catching, eye-catching, clickbaitish thumbnail, and that it's well cropped. Otherwise, if you don't do that step, sometimes it comes across as like, I don't know, sometimes I've even seen like a straight up like black screen tile because there wasn't a thumbnail image selected at all. That's a pet peeve of mine, just so you know, because I can tell if someone didn't think about the aesthetic of how that video is going to sit on their page. And that just bothers me. That bothers the artist in me. Like, pick a thumbnail, pick a thumbnail. But the reason it's funny today is because today Instagram actually did change their aspect ratio. So now your square posts are going to look a little funny. Wah, wah. I was going to be like, don't let your stuff look funny. But now everyone's stuff looks funny. Thank you, Mark Zuckerberg, for changing it on us for I don't know what reason. But it's 4.5. So if you're going through Canva or something like that to make graphics now for your feed, you're going to want them to be at 4.5 ratio. And as of today, side note, our reels can be up to 3 minutes long. So that's fun. Slightly more long form video. Okay, back to the don't you do it. Don't you do it. Don't you have your profile photo not be themselves. Okay, I just had like a really meaningful conversation with a new friend of mine who, like, the next couple things don't really apply to them because they had like really legitimate reasons for wanting to be anonymous. And I'm not saying they're in the witness protection program, because they're not, but kind of like that. Like, there are going to be some reasons why you wouldn't want to have a public account, and why you wouldn't want it to be your name, and why you wouldn't want it to be your face. In fact, this new friend of mine just gave me her whole, because she's heard me say this before, and she's like, so she has reasons why hers is a little more anonymous. Okay. But for the rest of you, for 99.9% of you, it's super important that your name is your name and your face is your face. It's not like you and your husband, or you and your puppy, or, fit with Susie Q. Because what if someone wants to take your class, and what if someone wants to look you up before they take your class? How are they going to find you if you're not your name and you're not your face? What if someone took your class and they loved you and they want to follow you? How are they going to find you ever if you have some strange name? And I think it needs to be your name and your face across your platforms. That's how I feel about it. If you want to have some other account that is like more niche down and has some other cutesy name, by all means. But if you're looking to use social media to grow a fitness business, it needs to be your name, because you're the brand. And of course, if you own a business, then it can be that business. And if so, it should be that business's logo. But we're talking about you being your own brand in fitness. I have, like, I talked to my team about this, like my master trainers. I don't want to struggle to find them, to tag them in a post about their upcoming training because I'm typing in their name and it doesn't come up. And it's just it's like a big pet peeve of mine. It does drive me crazy. And eventually I'll quit trying. Eventually I will quit trying and I'll just post it and not tag. And that's sad. Okay, ready? Let's keep it going. I'm almost done. Okay, this is the last point. Posting without the filter of first impression. Okay, reality check. Do you do that? Like, if you're going to post something before you do, are you like, what if this post is going to be someone's very first impression of me? Similarly, but not exactly the same, is if you go to your account and you look at like the first like 9 tiles that show up when you type your name in, it should be your name. Do those 9 tiles say what you want to say about yourself? Do they give a glimpse, snapshot? This is who you are. Do they say what you want to say? Are they on brand? Or is there like a weird wild hair or something that doesn't really fit your niche that's on there? Because they will unfollow you if it's something weird. And if it's like, I don't know, I'm just going to give some like random ridiculous example. Like, let's say you fell on a bike and you have like a gruesome bruise on your leg. I don't think that's something you should post about. Because, like, what if that's someone's very first impression, or they go on your account and I don't know, I'm not into the gruesome injury type posts. Okay. I just am not into that either. Um, but the first impression. So kind of go back, take a look. That's your homework today. Take a look at your feed. What do those 9 images say about you? And are they all in the same vein? We've talked about this before on previous episodes about like things being in accordance and alignment with what your bio says about you and your brand and what you have to offer on your account. So that's what we want to see there. All right, I'm going to review. Here's all of your don't you do it's. Ready? Please, for the love of God, do not talk to your camera while you're driving your car. Please. I cannot stand it. Number 2, if you're going to say something to the Instagram friends of yours, look at the camera hole. Make sure it's clean so it feels like you're making eye contact with them. Because if you're looking at yourself in the eyes, if you're making eye contact with yourself through like in your phone while you're talking, it looks weird, like you're not fully connecting. It kind of looks like, okay, it kind of looks like you're just looking at someone in the boobs instead of their eyes. So look at the camera hole. And no passive aggressive bullshit. None of it. There's not a place for it in the world. There's not a place for it in your relationships anyway, let alone on social media. Just don't be passive aggressive. And don't complain ever anyway. Not that complaining and passive aggressive are the same thing, but kind of like just no complaining. Don't complain. Don't complain about stuff. And be very careful about creating an identity around. I'm not saying it's not part of the fabric of who you are. I'm not saying it's not something you can't add value and share and connect with and even help people. But be careful to create an entire identity around an illness. And I wouldn't be a know it all. Nobody likes a know it all. And I think a lot of fitness professionals, ironically, the ones that are less confident, the ones that are really confident, they're like, hey, I have questions. Hey, I don't know everything about everything. It tends to be the ones that are like insecure that act like the know-it-all. So avoid posturing as the end-all be-all authority on all things, whatever it is. Remember to filter yourself through different people's perspectives, not just your own before you post. So avoid, forgetting that the filter. Avoid all right hooks, always trying to ask, always right hooking, always. I mean, come on. None of us like to be sold to all the time. No, thank you. Just think of that solicitor knocking at your door and you're just like, please, for the love of God, go away. Don't knock on my door. We don't want to be that person in their feed. Watch for the weird thumbnails, be intentional about that, think about it. Have your photo be you, have your name be you so that you're searchable and easily identifiable. And then make sure you post with that, what first impression am I creating? All right, that's it for Don't You Do It. Stay tuned. Next episode maybe will be all the do-do-its. The do-do-its. Okay, everybody, have a awesome week. And if you have things to chime in, if you have things to add to this conversation, then please do. Oh, confession time. Well, I kind of already did. I think my area of weakness here is all the right hooks. That's where I need to grow. That'll be my confession to you. You guys have a wonderful week. Don't forget to share the show if you found it valuable or think someone else in your world would. And I will see you next time.
Thank you for joining in on the Confessions of a Group X Instructor podcast. If you're interested in becoming a warrior instructor, go to warriorinstructors.com. But if you want more and found this episode amazing, please give us a rating. And with a simple click to subscribe, we'll invite you back to our next episode. So remember, be brave, be bold, be blessed. And above all, listen, learn, love.